What's wrong with your experience? Is your experience limiting you? Today we're going to talk about the science of cognitive rigidity and cognitive flexibility. Have you ever heard of these? It's very fascinating. So experience is often our badge of honor, the foundation for skills, intuition, and confidence in handling life's challenges. But here's the twist. Sometimes the very experience that helps us succeed quietly becomes an invisible cage, limiting our growth. Cognitive rigidity is the mind's tendency to rely on what feels familiar, even when a situation calls for something new. It's the moment you catch yourself defending a position out of habit, not because you've truly considered what's changed. This is mental autopilot on work. So why do we fall back into old ways? Our brains, like we've discussed in a recent video on neuroscience, are prediction machines. Our brains are built to save energy and minimize risk by reusing what worked before. So while this is efficient, it can also blind us to new ideas or better solutions. So in this talk, we're going to explore why experience can sometimes work against us, and more importantly, how you can spot and break these hidden habits so you can adapt, grow, and live with more freedom. So understanding how these patterns form and learning to notice them in the moment is the first step towards real change. Hey everyone, I'm Henry and you're watching day 64 on my channel Henry's Millions, where I dive deep into psychology, spirituality, neuroscience, and general sciences of the mind, helping you explore and master the forces that shape your life. Let's do it. All right, the science of cognitive rigidity and cognitive flexibility. Guys, this is really useful stuff. I labored for countless hours to research and put this material together for you. We really want to learn and improve ourselves. This is going to do it for you. This may be half an hour or a little bit longer, but it's going to be well worth the time. Power through it. Use your willpower. All right. Cognitive rigidity, cognitive flexibility. So cognitive rigidity is the mind's tendency to stick with old solutions. By the way, these are real terms in neuroscience, psychology. Okay? Old solutions, habits, assumptions, even after they've stopped working. That's cognitive rigidity. This isn't just being stubborn. I have a video on stubbornness. Check it out after this. Rigidity is the almost automatic way our experience shapes actions, and often beneath our conscious awareness. So tried and true strategies can help us in the past, but rigid patterns make it hard to adapt as the world changes. This isn't about weakness or lack of willpower. Rather, it's how the brain conserves energy, favoring what's been learned. By the way, I have tons of videos on willpower if you go back a few months. So these routines, left unchecked, transition from helpful guides to rigid boundaries. So you might not notice inertia at play until something goes wrong. A missed opportunity, mounting frustration, or repeating yourself in conversations or choices. Now on the other side, conversely, cognitive flexibility lets us break through. It's the ability to update, to adapt, and retool thinking to new challenges or information. Unlike physical flexibility, mental flexibility is about being present, recognizing where your go-to reactions no longer work, and daring to try something different. So remember, cognitive rigidity is natural, but cognitive flexibility, your ability to respond, not just react, is how experience becomes a foundation for growth instead of a cage. All right, so let's talk about why experience turns into a trap. This wasn't just fancy clickbait, the title of the video, okay? Really, experience can turn into a trap. Let's talk about that. So at first glance, experience is the friend that never lets you down. It teaches what works and helps us avoid mistakes. Yet over time, those rules and lessons can become so familiar that we use them automatically, even when new situations urgently need a different response. So cognitive rigidity, or mental stuckness, we can call it being stuckness, means old habits guide actions even when they don't fit. Imagine being taught to solve a puzzle a certain way and repeating that despite easier answers appearing later. They have studies on that. This is called the Einstellung effect. Einstellung effect. We feel smarter already. It's where the brain latches on to what worked, missing better approaches as the world changes. So you see this everywhere. Doctors defaulting to common diagnoses, managers repeating old meeting styles, or friends rehashing the same arguments. Often these patterns are easy for outsiders to spot, but hard for us to see in ourselves. So why does rigidity come on so easily? Because the brain is built for efficiency. So once a pathway is reinforced, it's easier to reuse it. Combined with our mind's discomfort around uncertainty and a loss of control, we end up choosing fast over flexible. So while perseverance involves continued effort despite difficulty, it's a generally positive trait, perseveration, on the other hand, is the maladaptive repetition of behavior or thought patterns, even when they are no longer effective or appropriate. That's a very interesting word. That's the first time I ever used it when I began diving deep into this research and studies. Perseveration. It's great. Maladaptive repetition of behavior or thought patterns, even when they are no longer effective or appropriate. So for example, perseverating would be arguing the same point in a conversation, even after realizing it's causing harm or failing to adopt a simpler solution when it's available. So differentiating these two, perseverance and perseveration, helps us appreciate when persistence supports growth and when it becomes counterproductive stuckness. So rigidity can outlast our efforts to change. Thoughts and behaviors keep looping back even when we want to try something new. For those of you that love to research and look things up after videos, look up Roberts and Snyder, 98 and 2013. Okay, this is real stuff, guys. But I designed these talks so it can attract a wider audience. It's easy for anyone to understand. All right, so rigidity can outlast our efforts to change. Thoughts and behaviors keep looping back even when we want to try something new. You know, that's why in previous videos, I often joke about how often I hear people say they've changed or they're totally different, and then you still see the same things being expressed in them. The things even they wanted to change. So this is where this is coming from. So how do we keep experience from becoming a trap? By developing awareness, calling out invisible patterns, seeing where they show up, and understanding why they persist, so we can pivot towards more flexibility. Clinical neuroscientists, I never knew there was clinical neuroscientists, they call this tendency to use old approaches as a mental set. Learn this concept, mental set. It's a real concept. This is when you solve new problems in old ways, even if they don't fit now. That's Lutyens, 1959, this author wrote about this. So, for instance, a chef clinging to a seasoning style despite new ingredients, or a parent using outdated discipline tactics with their child. So over time, these strategies become automatic thoughts that need little oversight. Okay, let's talk about the nature of cognitive flexibility. The nature of it. Cognitive flexibility. Remember, we started with rigidity. We're going to talk about flexibility. It's the mind's capacity to adapt, to shift focus, update strategies, and try new solutions as reality changes. Guys, I hear everybody all the time, especially online, all the talking heads. Everyone's talking about be your best self, level up, life mastery, and doing all this stuff. And all this motivation is just blowing up the balloon, but there's not really much substance behind it. This is the substance, guys. I'm not pumping this up. It doesn't look pretty. It's not in a bow tie in a package, but this is the real deal. You learn this stuff, you're going to change your life. Power through it. So if you're still with me and you go with me to the end here, you will benefit. All right. So cognitive flexibility. So when rigidity locks you into a single routine, flexibility enables you to choose the approach that best fits the moment. So let's break down how flexibility actually works. First, set shifting. Set shifting allows you to change rules on the fly. For instance, if you're sorting, when I give you examples, they're going to be so simple, it's ridiculous, okay? So when I give you a simple example, I want you to apply it to more complex things in your life, okay? Set shifting allows you to change the rules on the fly. For instance, if you're sorting emails by importance, but realize that sorting by sender will save you more time, that's set shifting. Apply it to other areas of your life, okay? Task switching is changing between different activities, like pausing your budgeting to answer a phone call. So this helps you handle complex days efficiently. Then there's attentional flexibility. That's your ability to redirect focus, such as helping a child with homework while writing a report and then getting back on track. Then there's flexible inhibition. It's 4, right? I've gone through 4 of them, right? Set shifting, task switching, attentional flexibility. Rewind this if you have to, watch this again if you have to. 4th is flexible inhibition. It means you can stop yourself from repeating old habits, like pausing before interrupting in a debate. These are very useful to learn. Now, I'll tell you why. Look, when we talk about new concepts and new words, and sometimes we throw around parts of the brain and stuff like this, and you're like, why am I ever going? I'm never going to use this again because I'm not going to discuss it with someone. It's useful to give something a label, to know that it exists. It may help you in bringing it back from your memory. It'll help you understanding it. But more importantly, it'll help you apply these things. Okay? So executive functions play a vital role in everyday life. Executive functions, by the way, should be a video in itself. This is very, very important topic all by itself. We're barely going to touch on it here, okay? So, but these obviously overlap. There's a lot of overlap here with executive functions. Play a vital role in everyday life. So working memory, part of your executive functions, I said functions, is like your mental notepad, letting you hold and manipulate information, such as keeping a phone number in mind, just long enough to dial it, or remembering ingredients while cooking a recipe. So then there's inhibitory control. It's the internal brake that helps you resist the urge to check your phone during a meeting or stop yourself from interrupting during a conversation. Then there's mental shifting. Remember, we're talking about executive functions right now, EF, executive functions. So first I gave you four ways that flexibility actually works. You can rewind that and re-listen to it. Set shifting, task switching, attentional flexibility, and flexible inhibition. Now we're talking just briefly about some executive functions, okay, because they play a vital role in this. So we talked about working memory. It's your mental notepad. And then now we're talking, and then inhibitory control, inhibition, inhibit yourself. Okay, and then mental shifting now. Mental shifting is your mind's ability to switch gears, such as moving effortlessly from writing an email to responding to a colleague's question without losing focus or being overwhelmed. So these abilities together shape how flexible and adaptive you are in daily challenges. If you want to read up on this, there's Diamond 2013 and Miyake 2000. If you don't, just take another sip of your coffee, lean back and keep listening. So it's important to distinguish between set shifting and task switching. So though they're related, they're distinct cognitive processes. Okay, set shifting refers to switching between different rules or mental frameworks within the same task. like shifting from sorting emails by sender to sorting by date. And then task switching, by contrast, involves changing from one kind of task to an entirely different one, such as answering a phone call while you're in the middle of writing a report. So this distinction helps clarify how cognitive flexibility supports complex behavior. Guys, if you want to succeed in life, if you want to win, this is where it's at. And if it's not this video, you should be researching this yourself. You might spend days looking this up and reading it, or you can spend half an hour here listening and enjoying the video. Thank you. I appreciate you watching. And I hope that you'll like and subscribe. It supports me, definitely motivates the heck out of me. And you can help someone else by sharing it with them. All right, so set shifting, task switching, is what we're talking about right now. And then the distinction between the two helps clarify how cognitive flexibility supports complex behavior, okay? So flexibility, it's not just going with the flow. I know how you use that in day-to-day life. It's not really that. It's not about just being flexible, open-minded. I'll try anything once. That's not what it is. Okay, it's about knowing when to persist and when to pivot based on new evidence or changing context. Okay, it appears in quick thinking, creative problem solving, or even in how you choose kindness or defensiveness during tough conversations. So flexibility isn't all or nothing. It's built on small daily choices, noticing when you're stuck, pausing to reflect, and daring to try new approaches. All right, let's move on now to brain mechanisms. So updating, not just switching. All right, so cognitive flexibility and rigidity, they're not simply personality traits. It's funny, almost every major word I mention here, I think of a video I've created for it. Personality, I created a video on personality tests. It was shocking when I found out. Personality tests aren't that accurate. Okay, so flexibility and rigidity aren't simply personality traits. They're rooted in how brain systems interact. So when operating well, your executive and salience networks. Henry, what the heck are these terms here? Just let it slide. Just keep going here. Your executive and salience networks cooperate like a relay team. All right, I'm going to throw some words at you here, but it's going to makes me feel smarter. So let's go. The frontoparietal executive network, especially in the prefrontal cortex, right here, right? So when you're showering, shampooing, you're right on top of the prefrontal cortex. It helps track, update, or overwrite your current rules. The salience network, anterior insula, cingulate cortex. I don't know, there's somewhere here, guys. You're interacting with them when you're in the shower. They track, okay, these ones flag novelty and asks, should I stick or should I switch? So these networks coordinate in real time, what neuroscientists call dynamic functional connectivity. So when the networks are flexible, you can respond to new cues. When they're rigid, you default to what's worked before, even as situations change. You know, as I'm sharing this and discussing this with you right now, I'm just shocked by how much of our life is filled with routine. Routine, not just about what we do day to day, my coffee in the morning, the work, and who I talk to and such. It's just our thoughts, our behaviors, our feelings. We feel the same things almost every day. We think the same things almost every day. And then we wonder and scratch our heads, some of us, why our life is the way it is, and why it isn't changing fast enough or improving fast enough, or why aren't we achieving things fast enough? This is why. Okay, so where are we at here? So classic studies on cognitive rigidity and flexibility include, there's the Wisconsin card sorting test. You could look these up. There's a water jug test. So the card sorting test is a neuropsychological task measuring how well participants discover and adapt to changing rules. Like if you're wondering how we know this stuff, how are these researchers and neuroscientists and psychologists coming up with this stuff. They're conducting tests. So there's that Wisconsin card sorting test. There's this water jug test. It was also very interesting. So they measure how well participants discover and adapt to changing rules. That's Berg, 48, Heaton, 93. So the Einstellung effect, studies by Lutyens, shows that people stick to familiar methods despite better solutions. I can imagine some people listening right now just scratching their head when I'm mentioning names. Just take, what do they say in tarot card readings? Just take what resonates and leave the rest behind. Do that, please, on all my videos. Take what resonates, leave the rest behind. All right, so the Einstellung effect shows that people stick to familiar methods despite better solutions. These tasks give important empirical grounding to cognitive flexibility. So the neuropsychological research shows that executive function deficits, especially in set shifting and inhibitory control, are directly correlated with perseveration and excessive reliance on mental set. So there's imaging that shows that those who perseverate activate prefrontal cortex regions less during task switching, which means stuckness is often a supply issue in the mind's control center. So perseveration, just to remind you, is the tendency to keep repeating the same thought, behavior, or strategy, even when it's no longer useful or appropriate. It's like getting mentally stuck and being unable to shift gears, even when the situation clearly requires it. So it's not about trying harder. It's about how well your brain's control systems communicate, especially when things don't go as expected. By the way, guys, if you're still with me, I really appreciate it. Did you know that attention spans of people on YouTube, like the average watch time is like 5-6 minutes? It's remarkable. How could you learn anything in 5 or 6 minutes? Most people don't even get past the introduction and some laughs. So I commend you for watching, and I hope that you find this not only the talk useful, but you apply these principles to your life, and you watch this video again to make sure they sink in, and you share it with someone that you really care about. All right, it's not about trying harder. It's about how well your brain's control systems communicate, especially when things don't go as expected. So let's talk about the cost of rigidity, right? What is the cost here? If you want me to change something, tell me what it's costing me, clinically and in life. So rigidity isn't just inconvenient. It amplifies distress in every domain, from mental health to relationships and even careers. So in depression, rigidity becomes rumination, stuck in negative loops, unable to see new perspectives. And anxiety brings unending threat modeling, like imagining worst-case scenarios without relief. And in OCD takes rigidity to an extreme, as rituals and rules overwhelm daily life. For people on the autism spectrum, comfort and routine may come at the cost of adapting to new ideas or to new situations. So you don't need a diagnosis to feel the impact. Everyday rigidity might be ignoring feedback, repeating the same argument, or clinging to a self-image even as your life changes. And perseveration, our new word for today, is especially evident in clinical cases. After brain injury, a person may repeat a word or action that no longer fits. In OCD, set-shifting failure and perseveration mean rituals continue even when individuals know they're unnecessary. In depression, people remain stuck thinking poorly of themselves, unable to recognize improvement. That was Watkins, 2008. So this is what happens when your brain's executive functions can't break the cycle. The upside, what's the upside? Rigidity can be reversed, guys. Neuroscience proves our brains can learn to pause, to review, to break free, even after years of being stuck. All right, so let's move now to making change possible. research-backed levers. I want to make change possible. We want to make you great again. MYGA. All right, so you can build greater flexibility. Mindfulness, if practiced as focused awareness, improves your ability. Henry, what the heck is he talking about? Mindfulness? Is he going to tell us to meditate and journal? No, guys, I'm not telling you to do that. Just listen. So mindfulness, if practiced as focused awareness, improves your ability to notice thoughts before acting. It's proven to rewire the executive control center, helping people switch tasks and drop unhelpful habits. But formal meditation isn't required. Oh, I hear sighs of relief right now. I'm the last person that wants to meditate now. Believe me, I've spent months and years meditating a long time ago. I've done it. I've been there. It's very useful, but I'm not telling you to do it. I know, the ebbs and flows of life sometimes does not make it practical or easy for us to do that. So keep listening. I'm not telling you to do that. We're going to give you other things to do. You're going to love it. All right, formal meditation isn't required. I'll keep watching. The essential piece is called meta-awareness. Meta-awareness. Seeing your thinking as it happens. So every time you pause before a knee-jerk reaction, ask yourself if your habit really fits now, you train your mind to be flexible. Thank God he didn't ask us to meditate. I was going to click away. All right. Challenging routines, changing your morning ritual, adopting new approaches in meetings, or deeply listening in old arguments teaches your mind that tried and true can still be improved. And the cognitive science also shows you can build flexibility with exercises for executive function, like holding several ideas in your mental notepad. It's called working memory. Pausing before your first response. That's called inhibition. Or brainstorming new ways to solve daily challenges. That's called set shifting. The research confirms these simple actions help reduce mental stuckness. So flexibility isn't a trait. It's built by noticing, pausing, and repeatedly nudging yourself toward new options. All right, give me some flexibility for non-meditators. I don't want that stuff. Give me the goods, Henry. All right, meta-awareness in action. I'm going to show you how to do it. You don't need to meditate or follow any spiritual tradition to build real cognitive flexibility. So science shows that the everyday moments in your life are already perfectly engineered to help you practice. What's the catch? You have to be willing to pause, to observe, and experiment in real time. All right, couple things here. Maybe 4. So I'm going to show you how to do this. First, spot the rule. Spot the rule. Start by catching those moments when you're running on autopilot. Maybe you're defending your opinion out of sheer habit in a group chat, instantly rejecting feedback from a colleague, or rehashing the same disagreement with a loved one. Pause and ask yourself, what rule or hidden belief am I following here? Is this truly about facts and current evidence, or just about what feels familiar and safe? Think about it. I see this all the time. I'm sure you do. Friends, family, coworkers. Modern neuroscience tells us that most of our decisions are guided by what researchers call schemas. I love this word, schemas. So most of our decisions are guided by what they call as schemas. They're mental shortcuts that help, but also trap if they're left unchecked. So recognizing these comfort scripts in the moment is the first mark of real-world flexibility. Next, reality test your habits. So So when you feel irritation or resistance as you encounter something new, say a project change at work or a surprising idea in a conversation, ask yourself, does my old strategy or gut reaction actually fit here? Or am I just recycling what I've always done? Notice how I mentioned gut reaction. Your feelings are not fact. I want you guys to understand this. A lot of people in this world, a lot of people take fact as the feeling as the holy grail. Feelings are not facts. Okay? So I just mentioned, does my old strategy or gut reaction actually fit here, or am I just recycling what I've always done? I'm not telling you to ignore your feelings or your gut feelings or anything. I'm just saying they're not necessarily facts. You just got to double check. So you got to think of this as a running experiment on yourself. The latest behavioral research, including Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman's work on automatic versus slow thinking, shows that this pause for a reality check is one of the surest ways to catch blind spots and prevent unnecessary mistakes. Next, disrupt the routine. Disrupt the routine. Changing the trivial aspects of your daily routine, like how you commute, what you eat for lunch, the sequence of your morning habits. Guys, I simplify when I give you examples. Apply it to more complex things in your life, okay? So changing your routine may seem superficial, but the effect is profound. Studies demonstrate that these micro disruptions, they subtly retrain your brain's default pathways, making it easier to adapt to larger changes when they come. So look beyond your breakfast to the oats and strawberries and cereal, whatever it is, or your commute. Try mixing up your routine, how you handle emails, the order you tackle your tasks, or even the way you greet your partner or coworkers. If you kiss someone on the left cheek, try the right cheek next time. I don't know. Each small change is like mental stretching. It weakens the psychological glue binding your yesterday's answers. Another one, name your narrative. From unconscious story to freedom. Name your narrative. Most of what keeps us rigid isn't logic. It's the old stories we tell ourselves. I'm not good at change. If I don't get this right, I failed. People like me can't question authority. I'm not mimicking you. I'm just saying this is how someone might say that. So these are not eternal truths. They're psychological habits. So the simple act of naming these narratives has real power. Research in both psychology and cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, confirms that. I have a video on that. Guys, I hope that someday you will go through every single one of my videos or share them with friends. There's a treasure of information in them, really, that can change someone's life. So research in both psychology and CBT confirm that putting a story into words, even in your own thoughts or in a journal, softens its grip on your behavior and your brain's response. This is why professional coaches and therapists often say you can't change what you can't name. In business, we say you can't change what you can't measure. So connection to the modern world. Connection to them. Let's bring this back home. Bring this baby back home. So in our hyper-connected lives, much of our rigidity now comes with a digital flavor. Automatic scrolling, doom scrolling, responding to emails in a fixed order, relying on knee-jerk reactions in social media. So you can bring flexibility here too. Unfollow a routine news source and try a new one. Maybe peek into your, the other political side if you're, so inclined. I don't know. So deliberately wait before replying to a provocative message. Change the type of content you consume for one day. So according to recent studies on digital attention and neuroplasticity, even tiny pivots in your online routines foster real brain change and nudge your thinking to become more open and less reactive. Sounds great. We're going to do things differently from now on, right? After this video, you're going to do things differently. I hope you do. All right, the last one on this one is authority backing. I hope you review this video, guys, if you've forgotten this stuff already. Let's pay attention. We'll power through it. We're almost done. So authority backing. These practices aren't just self-help tricks. They represent the same principles found in clinical neuropsychology and behavioral science. Decades of executive function research confirm that daily, deliberate flexibility retrains the neural wiring underlying decision-making, attention, and emotional regulation. People who routinely apply these micro habits show greater mental adaptability. They show less stress and more resilient recovery from setbacks. This stuff sounds great, guys. Like, really, you should be saying, sign me up right now. So let's translate this science into resilience. This is so useful here. Real transformation comes from turning science into daily habits. That's what we want to do. Studies find that people who routinely check their automatic responses through reflection or mindful pauses report less stress, better decision making. And at the core, there is a simple practical habit. Okay? I'll give you something here. Next time you feel stuck or overly certain, pause and ask yourself two questions. Number one, what rule, story, or habit is steering me right now? Number two, is it relevant or just a reflex? These are very important questions. I hope you write this down and memorize these two and use this in the future. So why do these two questions matter? So they're not just self-help tips, and I didn't invent them. They're your tools for breaking the spell of mental autopilot. Most of our everyday reactions run on past experience and emotional shortcuts. By stopping to ask these two questions, you shift your brain from autopilot to conscious control. This is what psychologists call meta-awareness. That's where real flexibility starts. So this is more than theory. The neuroscience shows that people who habitually challenge their internal scripts activate key brain regions for self-regulation and adaptive behavior. Guys, if you apply what we're talking about in this video here, you're going to give any meditator a run for their money. And they've spent hundreds or thousands of hours doing nothing. That feels really good. Learn this stuff. All right, so over time, this rewires the pathways that ordinarily keeps us repeating history, making flexible present-day choice your new default. Okay, remember here, so neuroscience shows that people who habitually challenge their internal scripts activate key brain regions for self-regulation and adaptive behavior, like the prefrontal cortex and the anterior cingulate. Now you know what we're working on. All right, these questions target the root source of stuckness, not just surface behaviors, but the deeper scripts running underneath. So when you ask, is this response actually relevant or just something I've always done? You force a moment of truth. Does this habit fit the reality in front of me? Or am I just looping the past? So many people are living life just repeating the past. But you speak to them, they will swear up and down that they've changed, that they've leveled up. It's incredible. So does this habit fit the reality in front of me, or am I just looping the past? So this one check dramatically increases the odds that your next words and actions are consciously chosen and effective. So research on habit change calls this pattern interruption. It's the moment when a possible automatic reaction gets interrupted by your conscious awareness. So open monitoring, as science calls it, is the habit of holding alternatives in mind, delaying judgment, and being willing to update your strategy as new cues appear. Open monitoring. Holding alternatives in mind, delaying judgment, being willing to update your strategy. So the people who are constantly asking these questions are better at pivoting quickly, are better at managing stress and solving problems. Creativity is very important. You want me to give you some examples of how this might look like in real life? Let's just do this real quick. Okay, you're in a heated discussion. Instead of snapping back, you pause and run this two-step check. Maybe you realize you're about to argue because of the old belief, I need to win every debate. But then you see that's just a reflex, not what serves your real goal of understanding and connection. These questions carve out space between impulse and action, a split-second choice point where the real flexibility and new results are born. Top therapists, performance coaches, leadership experts, they all use similar frameworks, okay? Teaching people to notice the underlying rule and test its fit for the current moment. So whether in ACT therapy, cognitive diffusion, or CBT therapy, thought challenging, or mindfulness-based interventions, this reflective, see what I'm giving you guys? I'm giving you everything here. This reflective skill is what separates those who are driven by the past from those who live and choose in the present. Noticing your outdated habits. So even without fixing them on the spot, when you notice them, it genuinely weakens their hold over time. So the more that you repeat this check-in, the easier it gets, making new solutions and smarter responses second nature. I hope this is helping people out there. I know it is, and because I get it in the comments. And just please share your comments with me. If this is helping you, I really want to hear from you, and I appreciate your feedback. So even the most flexible minds default to rigidity sometimes. What matters is practicing the habit of this pause, because every time you do, you recover faster, adapt better, and gradually become the author of your own next step. Almost done here, guys. Really, this is an exercise in your willpower. If you didn't watch 3 or 4 videos I had on willpower months ago, you're strengthening your willpower muscle right now. Power through this. We're almost done. Please like and subscribe. All right, so cognitive flexibility as leverage for life. So practiced flexibility breaks the illusion that identity and habits are unchangeable. People who develop these skills are not wishy-washy. They're skilled at rewriting the rules and beliefs that no longer serve them. If you see high performers, if you see winners online or whatever in real life, they're applying some part of this, whether they know it or not, right? Cognitive rigidity limits progress in work, in relationships, and self-development. Flexibility correlates with creative breakthroughs, adaptability, and resilience. So if you want to grow, don't just challenge single thoughts. Review your habitual stories, the whole narratives. Many of us contain pre-installed apps, beliefs about conflict, about change, or our own value. And science shows that these narratives can be updated with our awareness and repetition. The core ingredients here are executive functions. Remember, we talked about it. Watch the video again if you have to. Working memory, inhibition, and mental shifting. Each time you use them, you build new brain connections, break cycles of perseveration, and expand mental sets. This is daily self-mastery in action, guys. This is not those old tapes and CDs and books that you've read. This is real self-mastery. For whatever percent that's left watching this video right now, I wish I knew you in real life, really. You guys are the winners. So the final takeaways. Number 1, experience should serve you, not box you in. Don't erase your history. Just keep updating which parts are useful now. 2, flexibility is a practice, not a trait. Every small pause and adjustment builds your agility. And quick moments of reflection, just a few seconds of curiosity, are enough to disrupt autopilot and unlock new growth. No, gratitude does not unlock growth. Just threw that in there. It's a running joke if you watch the other videos. If your thinking or routines feel stale, just remember, you have a choice not to throw away your experience, but to use it as a dynamic, ever-updating starting point. This is how you loosen the grip of rigidity and open new paths forward. All right, YouTube thinks you should watch this next video from my channel as best for viewer recommendation. Don't look at me. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Henry's Millions. Every time.